Is it work? It's working. Okay, good. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. It's about to fall. Here we go. We're going to do it. We're starting it up. I'm just trying to get this to work for us here. Oh, maybe I can get this. Oh, I don't like that flare. I don't like the flare from the light. We'll do it like yesterday. Hello. Wait for it. Oh. Hello. Good morning. How are we doing today? Today is 12/8/2016. We are here. It is time to do the good morning little thing that we do, and let's start it off with exactly what the whole thing at the beginning says. The statement of today's show is that racism does not stand up well to contact. So I heard this just recently. Trevor Noah, I don't know if you know who he is, but he's the guy who does Comedy Central, The Daily Show. He took over for Jon Stewart. Now, Trevor Noah is a guy who was raised in South Africa during apartheid. It ended when he was around 6 or 7 years old. And he then came to the United States, and, he's now who he is, right? So, obviously, he's dealt quite heavily with racism and what it feels like to deal with it. And he says in an interview that he did on a morning radio show, he says, listen, in the end, after reading all these people that I read about, the one thing that I can say is that racism doesn't stand up well to contact. And when you really get into what he's trying to say is that when you meet the people that you supposedly don't like and you actually have them in your life, not just hang out with them like, oh, hey, how's it going? But like they are in your life for some reason, then that racism seems to disappear quite quickly, and that it just doesn't stand up to contact, because something in the end is that racism is something that's taught to you, something that you're conditioned to believe, based on not really having contact with the thing that you're actually talking about. Does that make sense? So really, you're hating upon an idea or hating upon a concept that somebody has basically sold to you. That somebody put Kool-Aid into your Kool-Aid juice and told you that the other people's Kool-Aid is not good to taste and that it's bad to get into other people's Kool-Aid. Where I believe that, yes, you should always have your own Kool-Aid, but you should taste Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid's good, man. Purple and yellow Kool-Aid, and there's the green Kool-Aid. There's lots of Kool-Aid colors. You gotta go out there and try all the Kool-Aid colors. And then find the one you like. Maybe you stay on red for a while, Everybody likes the red one. Anyways, the point is that the idea of racism in itself, the whole concept of racism, talk to me, Paul, love Kool-Aid, share your Kool-Aid. So in the end, racism itself is something that is created. And why is it created? Racism itself is created to perpetrate the idea of fear. The idea of fear is what helps corral mass amounts of people the best. And this goes all the way back to a book called The Prince by Machiavelli. If you've never read it, please go check it out. You can even go far as back as Sun Tzu's Art of War. And if you ever check out either one of those books, you find out that this is exactly the concept. The way to understand, the way to control a mass group of people, to get them to do what you want, on some level, when you're at the top, is to use fear to get that person or that group of people to move in whichever direction. And it makes sense. Most of the choices that you and I make are based on fear, based on what people are going to think about me, why, and this is all perpetrated, of course, by the consumeristic conceptual idea, right? The consumeristic idea is this idea that makes you think that you have your own person, and your own person needs to promote that you are your own person by wearing brands which promote the type of lifestyle that you're trying to achieve. And through doing so, this creates a class society, and that class society then has this pyramidal conceptual idea in which you have to try and reach the top being fame, money, fortune, so on and so forth, and once you reach the top, the job of everybody here is to bring you back down. And this is what our society is built on, and you can see this over and over replete through all of the, if you just look at fame in itself, you can see how every single day there are people who are going crazy, who are flipping out, who are having all kinds of mental problems, shaving their heads, going crazy on stage for 17 minutes. Just 2 days ago or a day ago, Lady Gaga talks about how she has mental problems, and she was talking to some kids, and I think what she was really trying to do is really connect and say, listen, I'm just as flawed as you are, and we're all flawed beings, and that's something that we need to understand and just have that in our mind. We're flawed, and we're all flawed. And for any one of us to judge any one of the other is ridiculous in itself. You know what I'm saying? So back to racism doesn't really stand up to contact. And what does that mean? And it really doesn't. That once you, like I have, and I've been lucky enough to do this, once I get to travel around the world and see different people and live with different people, from Bedouins to the Egyptians to the people in Greece to when I lived with 5,000 hippies in the mountains for 2 weeks. When all of the different things that I've done and all the different types of people that I met, it stops you from really being racist on some level. Why? Because you see that in the foundation of what we are, we're all the same. We all have problems, we all have issues, we all have things that we're working on, we all have things that we didn't want happen in our lives. And so no matter who you are, you realize, man, person's just like me in the end. And they're doing whatever they're doing based on their fears of surviving. And it's based on those fears of survival that we accomplish all these negative connotations against each other so that one can be better than the other. And so this class system, once again, is created based on this idea of pushing somebody down so that the other person can become better than the other. And it stops us from really truly growing as human beings and becoming the great people, the great race that we should be becoming. If we were to take all the time and energy that we spend on just war alone, think of the United States alone spending more than 19 other countries combined. We spend that money per year. If we were to take that money alone and stop fighting and start working on a project to fix problems in the world, my God, do you understand the amount of change that would happen? But the reason that we're using war as a based concept of fear on the idea that if we don't have the thing, that all these people are going to come in and take away our things. And so that is what creates this fear. Oh my God, more war. We need more planes, more drones, more fucking robots. Get robots, fucking robots out there. Stop killing the people, more robots. And then what? So we're going to have a bunch of robots fighting each other on a fucking chessboard? What? I mean, think about it, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. What is that? What we're gonna do? No. Are we gonna start using the Olympics as a way of proving who's greater? No, we're not gonna do it. Are we gonna start doing Battlestar Galactica battles of like we're gonna create the greatest human man of Russia, the greatest human, and have them duke it out in some kind of coliseum to see who's greater than the other? That's not going to work. And at what point do you actually start saying, hey, all of the stuff that we're doing is stuff that we did like 1,000 years ago. Can we stop being fucking assholes? When do we start doing that? Is this the moment? Or are we waiting for Trump now to do whatever the fuck he's going to do in the next 4 years Who knows whenever that's going to be. And so are we waiting for that next level of crazy stupidity that's about to start happening? We're waiting for a guy who's just going to pick up phone and just call whoever he wants and act as though the world is just his own little monopoly business table. Oh, I left my company, so I'm not going to be able to be involved anymore. But all my children run my company, who I speak to every day and I want to have on my cabinet. I mean, come on. It's not like he's not involved. I'll just take my name off the paperwork. I mean, how stupid are we? How honestly stupid are we as a whole, where we're not actually saying, whoa, there's something fucking going on here. And at what point here's another thing. Everybody's like, yay, the Dakota Pipeline, they won. They don't have to be there anymore. Yay, it's not won. Nothing's won. Nothing's won. All they did was like, whoa, wait, hold on, just wait, hold on, we're just going to look at this first. But then the company that's involved in doing it was like, oh, fuck you guys. We're going to fucking just go right around that legislation bullshit and pay off a bunch of people, you fucking assholes. What do you think? You think a bunch of fucking Indians and 2,000 fucking soldiers is going to make us fucking want to change our mind over fucking $25 billion? Go fuck yourself. Come on. And so, but on Facebook, oh, hey, Dakota Pipeline, they're not fucking spraying water on people. Gas anymore. Oh, things are great. We won. Yay. No, that's just a fucking technique to get people to believe that it's not there anymore. So even that little noise that was being created, because there was a lot of people involved, that noise which was on Facebook, which barely got through, unless you like subscribe to it or whatever, even barely got through, and that was a lot of noise being built up under here. Now it's just this little nothing. It's a nothing now. And they're doing that on purpose. Because what's happened? Now the global consciousness, okay, you have to understand the idea of social consciousness. The idea that social consciousness defines what we all are thinking about at the same time. What we're all globally thinking about now. And what does that mean? Okay. There was a test that was done some years ago, sometime in the 90s, right? And what was going on is that they were giving people crossword puzzles. And these crossword puzzles were randomly generated by a computer. And when these people would go in, they would be given this thing and they would do it by themselves. They never met anybody else, right? It was a test group, so on and so forth. And so what they did was they would do these crossword puzzles and they would only finish about 60 to 70%. And every once in a while, without letting the test group know, they would put in a crossword puzzle that was done in New York from the New York Times. And then the weird thing that would happen is there would be a spike in how many people would actually complete the crossword puzzle, which was to say that there is a form of social consciousness that once something is created or thought of, many people start to think of the same thing. And the idea that if you do not accomplish your goal or thought, then somebody else takes it. You say, oh wait, I saw that thing on TV. I came up with that like 4 years ago, but I never did anything about it. Yeah, man, that thing right there is that somebody else is thinking about it, and it's starting to become social consciousness because they're talking about it so much. And talking about it so much and creating more thought, and the thought of others is like a tangible spider web. And this tangible spider web is what's called social consciousness. Now, social consciousness can be molded and fixated by using media to get you to see only a certain kind of thing. And so then through that, you believe that that's what is the thing that's happening at the moment. I.e., 9/11. 9/11 was a form of creating one moment in the world at 1 second. And everybody knew it for like 1 week. Everybody knew that moment. It was a vibrational moment, right? And so you now have, now we're starting to get the real understanding the understanding of how the social consciousness is manipulated by the mass media, which manipulates this idea of fear, which then gets everyone to be scared, which is why when there's things like this thing that we're doing right now, which what we're doing, like the whole idea of the show every morning, once again, is to not bring you up, but bring you up, to make you aware and see everything that's happening, and then, oh fuck, okay, now, I've been armed with my tools, I can go out into the world, and there's nothing that's going to stop me in this forest of multimedia coming at me, this forest of people yelling at me, or things happening at me. I'm using my attitude. My attitude is what is the thing that decides how I move forward. And that's what this thing is every day. That's why when I go on these rants are not just for you, they're also for me, because I'm listening. I watch these right after I play them, right after I make these. I swear to you, I watch them with a friend of mine sometimes in her car. And I get super involved in watching what I'm doing, how my hands are moving, what I'm saying, and why. Because I want this to be something for you just as much as it is for me. I want this to grow. I want this to become that cognitive dissonance that Ivy was talking about just seconds ago. I want me to be your cognitive dissonance to the real cognitive dissonance that's in your life. I want you to become aware of the stuff that's around you, because when you become aware of that stuff, it shatters because it's not real. The only thing that ends up becoming actually real in your life is your thoughts and how you feel about you, how you create what you want in your existence, and how you push forward in creating that in your life. That's the only thing that becomes real. And the only thing that you will regret in your life when you are older, when you are 80 and 90 years old, are the thoughts that you had today that you did not go out and after and accomplish in some way, shape, or form. At least try. At least do the effort. At least something. If you don't look back and go, well, fuck, I didn't even try. I knew I could draw pictures, but I didn't even draw pictures. Holy shit, bro. Holy shit. Yes, exactly, Ivy coming back in and saying, exactly, speak it into existence. Abracadabra. Adabra kadabra is the Hebrew. And the Hebrew says, adabra kadabra. As I speak, I create. Abracadabra. And that's how that came into existence in itself, by the way, for magicians to use. Abracadabra means as I speak, I create. And so this is the idea. Well, now we're getting into the idea of what is a spell. And if you understand the idea of a spell, the spell is using words to create something in your existence. Hence, why I became a hypnotist and a neuro-linguistic programming the word through mind, or programming the mind through words. NLP, neurological linguistic programming. So these are the things. So you say, wow, Paul, you're actually a magician. It all came by accident to me. I saw David Copperfield. I saw magic. I was like, whoa, that's cool. I want to do that. And so I grabbed a deck of cards. I started learning magic. And then I saw books called Magic. I downloaded, at the time, I would go and, get books from the library with anything in the title of magic. The magic of, the magic of cooking, the magic of this, the magic of that, whatever. And so I found a book called The Structure of Magic. And this was the basic of neuro-linguistic programming. Now, in my own life, throughout my entire, from 12 to more, even in my 30s, I've also studied the land of esoteric things. So I got into everything from, aliens and palm reading and tarot cards and satanic worshiping and the Wicca whole world, the white and black magic. They studied it all. I mean, I would be at times, in my own From like 23 to 28, I spent a lot of time in front of Barnes and Nobles in Miami, where I was learning how to bend forks, and I would be the weird guy in front of a Barnes and Nobles with a bunch of forks in front of me, and I'd be like sitting there fucking like doing tricks and like, you know, but I wouldn't perform for anybody, but I didn't want to be at home because it was, you know, it's Miami, such beautiful weather. So I'd sit outside the Barnes and Nobles and I would go inside and I would read a book every day. And I would skim through lots of books and just read and find something that I was interested in, and sort of kind of like the thing that we do nowadays with the internet and Google, and go through what we like to call rabbit holes. I would find something that I was very interested in, like Behold a Pale White Horse, an amazing book, and UFO studies, and I would just like delve into this like rabbit hole, and I would be upstairs at a Barnes and Nobles with like 6 books all around me and looking at all the information. And so that's just how I ended up coming upon all of this stuff. And you know, also when you start reading Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, you need to read that book if you haven't read it. You start to get into this other understanding of the idea of Think and Grow Rich is it's not an idea of rich as in money. It's having a rich, complete life, living wealthy, having a wealthy existence. And so you know, he touches on so many different things that later on turn into a book called The Secret. And The Secret is only one of the 16 principles from Napoleon Hill. So, and there's another book called Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. So The Secret was written even before Dale Carnegie book, which is called How to Win Friends and Influence People. So all of these books out there, this whole idea of the self-help guru generation thing that had been created since that time, you have to understand these ideas, the ideas that we're talking about, this idea of self-help, the idea of self-growth, the idea of the chakras, and have been concepts that have been going around through the idea of humanity for a long period of time. As a matter of fact, if you look at it, once again, if you look at it from the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, the 1890s, all the way from 1890 to 1910 in the United States, we had something called the Eugenics Society, to create the number one or perfect man. Now, we've only in the United States ever fought 2 white enemies, right? So one white enemy was Germany, and we did that because they were trying to do eugenics as well. And the other white enemy that we fought was London, was England, to gain our independence. So you have to understand, the only reason that we went after Germany was because they were trying to do the same thing that we were doing, was creating a perfect race. Now, if you know anything about the Freemasonries in the country, here in the United States, during the 1920s to about 1930, the 40s, the Freemasonry started to really use their power in the court systems, and they started to get a really bad name for themselves. As a matter of fact, they got such a bad name for themselves that they had to kind of push away that, and they created something called the Shriners. The Shriners then opened up a bunch of hospitals and schools and did a bunch of stuff for the community, which gave them a good name. And they would always go out to the parades and drive around these little car with these little funny fez hats, right? So you have to first become a 32nd degree Freemason before you can even become a Shriner. So you have to think about the reason that happened was because they were trying to vet out all of the bad Freemasons that were creating bad names, and they were using the brotherhood to kind of get through and do things on their own. This in itself created a bad name, and this also stopped the Eugenics Society from being able to happen because people started to find out what was really going on. You have to also understand that during this time, the 1890s to the 1930s, is the beginning of the time when the consumeristic concept starts in the 1930s, and then it starts actually being produced in the 1950s. So in this 1930s conceptual idea, they start to say, what can we do to control the masses? There's a guy who gets involved. His name at this point is Edward Bernays. Now, Edward Bernays was was Sigmund Freud's nephew and studied with Sigmund Freud for 8 years, getting his doctorate in what was known at the time, as was going to be known at the time as modern day psychology, comes to the United States and changes the words from propaganda to public relations. Him, the guy, is the guy who actually is the one who creates what we like to call madmen. So if you understand all of this, then you can get into the understanding of how you manipulate people, how all of these conceptual ideas from Sun Tzu's Art of War, from The Prince by Machiavelli, by all of these things, and using technology to enforce those things even deeper and more interconnected, you are then, like I've said before, you're placed into a box. So whatever it is that you like on your Facebook, like when you go like a page, then it starts coming in your feed. And then not only that, Facebook has an algorithm to all the other things that you talk about, say, and think, and those things then become an algorithmic form to what you're going to see in your Facebook feed. That's why you don't see all 2,000 or 5,000 of your friends. And the only way for your voice to be heard on Facebook or any other one of those platforms is for you to pay for your voice to be more out there. Which is the only way, the only reason that I say to you guys, please like, share, subscribe these videos, show this to people, so that we can grow this thing. This number can get bigger and bigger, and we can become that cognitive dissonance in this other thing that is attacking us at all time from all sides. So, three-pronged approach to this whole concept of what's happening. So what I said at the beginning of this entire thing is that racism doesn't stand up to contact. I then broke down what racism is. I broke down what it does, how it creates fear in our life, and how that fear basically pushes us into a projected, placid mold for us to move into. And I said, how do we fix that? We become the cognitive dissonance by becoming aware of what it is that's around us, the media, all the bullshit, the consumerism, and we become aware of those things, and then we go out to the world and we fight for the ideals that are the opposite of that cognitive dissonance that's in our life. And how do we do that? It's very simple. You open somebody's door, you say hello to somebody on the street. You look at somebody who may be crying or doesn't look good, and you walk up to them and you say, hey, you okay? Listen, I know things don't look good right now, and I know I'm just a nobody in your life. I'm just some random stranger, but I just want to say something to you. You're going to get through it, and I believe you. And I know I may not be anybody, but I do. And then just walk away. Because doing that and that alone, I swear to you, if you did that and you fucking left that in somebody's brain, how could that not fuck with them for like a couple days? Did somebody just randomly came up to them when they were crying and said, hey, I love you, you're going to be okay? That's awesome. Go do that. And if you can't do that because you have like social agoraphobia or you just don't like people, whatever, I get it, it's understandable, then do something nice for yourself today. Give yourself a really nice shower, maybe give yourself a hug, do something that makes you feel good about you. Maybe write yourself a letter. I just came up with this one a couple days ago. Write yourself a letter. Good morning, my friend. And write yourself a letter that says how beautiful you are, how awesome you are, and if you're embarrassed by it, then burn it with a lighter and burn it and let it go into the ether. And that's a prayer, by the way, in a form of magic. But anyway, do that, or I don't know, and you say the prayer, you say your little poem out loud that you say about yourself. That's how you. That's a form of magic, by the way. And if you want to do love, then you do it in red. If you want to do money, do it in green. If you want friendship, do it in yellow. If you want peace and happiness and stuff like that, white. Write it. You're gonna have to write. I don't know how you're gonna write it in white. I don't know how you're gonna write it in white. The point is that that's a way of doing magic. And what it is, and let me explain. So I can break it down. I'll break it down into you the concept of what that is and why that actually helps. So. Your mind, the brain, doesn't know the difference between that which you actually do and that which you think. And so if you just think about something, then it's the same as if you did it. Okay, yeah, you could do it on black paper, but if you did it on black paper, then you might be bringing in negative energy. I do the burning ritual yearly. I burn all reminders of negativity in a big earthy clay bowl. See, so there you go. And so, let me explain. Let me break it down for why that works. So, at one point, and I'll do it with a story. At one point, when Napoleon Hill first meets Carnegie, Carnegie gives him a small little piece of paper, and it says, "Mr. Carnegie, I will not only reach you at the gates, I will surpass you." And Carnegie asks Napoleon Hill to read that for 30 days. He goes through a process of the first week not believing, the second week starting to wait, maybe, third week saying, maybe I could do this, and the fourth week running back in the office and saying, I can do that thing. And here's the idea. The idea is that if you see it, not just think it, but you actually write it down. Right, there you go, neurological node associations. What you're doing is you're activating different parts of the brain and making it something that actually seems pliable and plausible. So not just by thinking it's too earthy and it's all the way out here, but grabbing that thought, putting it down, and using your mental think to do, even just writing it or even typing it starts to make your body think it and do it. Once you root or anchor someone to an idea, all things associated with that thing are impacted by that initial rooting. Yes, 100%. Just like in the concept of the TV show Westworld, all of the androids are given a root clausal, a very impactful, sad moment in their life. One of the people is that their daughter is killed. The other one is that their son dies at a very young age. And this, and what is said in the show, and what is also being said, in the world, is that pain is, that suffering is what gives you the anchor to your memories, and not just pain, obviously, but pain does, anchor a memory deeper and harder than a moment of elation or greatness or happiness, which is why you're always chasing the dragon, as they say. If you're a drug addict, you're constantly chasing the high and always trying to push away the pain, which is why I constantly am saying that the only way to make happiness in your life is to deal with the problems that you're constantly facing. And it's the ones that are right in front of your face, the ones that bother you on a daily basis, whether it's I'm overweight, whether it's I'm smoking cigarettes, whether it's I'm not working out enough, I'm not being healthy enough, whatever the one thing that you constantly are hearing, and you're not doing something about, that's the thing that you should go out and work on today, just even a little bit. And here's the thing, I know it's hard. So, because it's hard for me as well, okay? So let's say smoking. Let's say smoking is your problem, or eating is your problem. So here's I'm going to give you my go-to approach, and it actually works, okay? So just try. Stop for one day. And you go, oh my God, that's too much. I go, okay, fine, half a day, 12 hours, don't do the thing that you do. So let's say eating is the thing, and I'm not going to tell you to not eat for 12 hours. Instead, don't eat the way that you normally do for 12 hours, and then for the other 12 hours, pig the fuck out and go nuts. Do whatever the fuck you want. Binge. What I'm saying is that do it in half increments if you can. So you can't do 12 hours, do 6. You can't do it that way, then do it the other way. Start slow. You're about to go and fucking give yourself 3 seconds. 3 fucking seconds before you go and do it. And if you can't do that, just give yourself 1 second. If you can't do that, give yourself 1 breath, thinking opposite of that thing. And you build slowly, just like Scott was saying, ripples in a pond. It's slow, step by step, baby steps, 1 step at a time, 1 step at a time. There's a mountain here that we're looking at. We're looking at this tall mountain. Don't look at the top of the mountain. Just look down at your feet. Look at 1 step at a time. Move forward. My friends, I love you all so much. I hope that today is an awesome Thursday for you. I hope you go out there and kick ass and take initials, because you don't have time for the names. I hope that you're here tomorrow. I wish you well. Please like, share, and subscribe. Once again, thank you very much. My friend Scott's coming in and says, only the mind is cordial in nature as well, so you need to harmonize and counteract those negative things with a positive action of equal importance. Yes, being aware of that negative thing is a way to fix it. First be aware, then take action. And that's exactly what this show is about every single day. It's never trying to be nihilistic or depressing or anything like that. It's never about that. It's just saying, look at what's happening. Let's be aware. Let's now understand how we can destroy that awareness, not that awareness, but destroy that thing that's out there that's trying to come into our life. We can destroy it, and now we can all move forward in our existence with this beautiful set of truth and learned concepts and goodness that we can then go out into the world and give to other people by being the best we can be for ourselves. And on that note, my friends, I wish you well. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.